Hello everyone, welcome back again. My name is Jesse, and in this one tutorial, we're trying to build a simplified natural language processing GUI with Tkinter, right, in Python. So this is what we're building. The name of the app is NLPiffy GUI, just as we have been doing so far. And then this is what the app does. You can just go with the NLPiffy and just enter any text here. So let's say Jesse is a developer and a doctor, right? See what I spelled. Doctor in, say, UK, right? So if I go with this, I go with tokenize, it's going to tokenize it perfectly for us, which is going to give us the right results. You can do part of this tagging, going to tag them perfectly, giving us the right part of speech. You can also do sentiment analysis, going to analyze it for us, giving us the subjectivity and the polarity. You can also do entities, extracting the entity from it, which is UK. Then you can reset the entire stack to clear everything off, and then you can also clear our results. So let's give you something interesting. So John is a great guy, right? Great guy, something like this. If I go with a sentiment, it's going to analyze it and give us a sentiment. I can just go tokenize it for us. Want to speak tagging, going to do it perfectly for us. So let's clear this result, then let's check another one. So in case you have a file, you want to analyze a file, you can just go to the file processor, then click on the open file. So I have a file here called new with some stuff on it, so I can just open it. I open this, going to open this particular file for us, right? So open it and then read the content of the file, which is just like a text editor, so you can actually edit whatever that is here. Then you can just go with my tokenize everything here. So let me expand it. Just tokenize the entire content of it. I can find the part of speak tagging, which is interesting, and also do sentiment analysis, giving me the subjectivity and polarity of this, and also do entity extraction, which is going to analyze it for us, and then I can clear this my result, right? I can clear the result, and I can also reset it. So in case I have plenty of files, right, let's go back to the file and I want to open it. So let's say I have this file here, just plenty, I just open it. Then I can even have the ability to scroll it like this, right? That's one interesting thing. So the about is just information about this particular app. So that's what we'll be building in this particular tutorial. So now let's start building our app. Okay, so let's start with it. So I'm just going to go to this other aspect, this folder, and then there's nothing here, right? There's nothing inside this particular place. So we building another app. So let's name them. Let's give it a name. So we're going to call it as NLPiffy GUI.py. It can be any name that you want, right? Okay, perfect. That's the name of the app you are giving it. Then what the most important thing to build this particular app is that we need to structure it, right? We need some tools. So we need Tkinter. So that's what we'll be using. So Tkinter. So Tkinter already comes with your Python package already. You don't need to install it. It's already part of the package. Ready? Okay. Then we need to know what we'll be doing with this app. So what are we going to be doing? We're going to be doing tokenization. We're doing sentiment analysis. These are just basic stuff, right? Sentiment analysis, and then we'll be also doing some interesting stuff like, let's say, entity extraction, and then normal part of speak tag, right? So that's the basic stuff we'll be doing. And then the final thing that to be able to see how to open the file and then read it. Open and then read it and read the file. Okay, perfect. Which is just like a text editor. Now let's see how to work with it. So our core packages is, let me expand this so you can see it well. So our core packages is going to be our core packages, and it's going to be Tkinter. So import Tkinter as TK. Then we also need to import, let's import everything. So from Tkinter, you can use the first one, was TK one, one of them going to work. Import everything. So we're going to import everything. And we're going to create our first window. So the window is going to be TK. Right? So this TK is coming from the Tkinter, right? Okay, perfect. And then we need to define the name of this. So the title, let's give it a name for a particular app. Then the title is going to be whatever title you want to give to this particular app. So let's give it a, let's say NLPiffy GUI. Perfect. So with this, you can just close this particular app. So window dot. So this is the basic of creating this app. So everything I'll be doing now is going to be within this particular window, right? So now let's run our app and see. So Python, can't spell Python. Python and then NLPiffy. So perfect. See that has been able to open this particular stuff, but it is quite small, right? that we need to apply with the name here, NLPiffy GUI, and then there's nothing inside, right? Because we not give it that particular dimension. So now let's add the dimensions that we want to use to it. So the dimension we'll be using is going to be our window. So we're going to give geometry, right, to give the particular dimension. For the main window, you can make it root. Some people make it root, but I prefer to call it window geometry. And I'm going to give it my dimension. So it's going to be 700. This is going to be the width, then the height, right? So the height is going to be, let's say, 400. 700 by 400. So you can make it like this, or you can make it like the normal times, right? This is better. Perfect. So let's run it again, and you see that it's going to change the size of it. Perfect. So that it has become bigger, right? So that is how to add the geometry to it. Now, if you run it again, we need to be able to structure it, well, to make it work. So let's see how we can structure it. So these things are just like rows and columns, right? They are just rows and columns. So we're going straight away with row 1, row 2, row 3, and then columns. I'm going to be structuring it. Okay, perfect. So now let's see how to do that. So I'm just going to do something simple. So let's create our first label. So to place something there, just going to create a label, and then let's put as label 1. I'm going to place in a text inside it, right? Then it's going to be our label. You can spell label. Then when you create a label, you can be able to put in whatever thing you want to do. So let's put in our window. We're going to be our first stuff there, and then we're going to place in whatever text you want to put there. So let's give it a text like text is going to be NLP, something like this, right? Perfect. So that is it. Now we need to be able to set the label at a particular location. So let's put a label.grade. We use grade to set the location. So grade, and then I'm going to set as let's give it as a row 1 or row 0, then column 1, right? So if I say this and I run this particular stuff here again, this is what we had, right? So this is going to be row 1, row 0, right? The first one, row 0, row 1, and then column 1. So that is how it's going to be. So let's run it and see. So you see that it has been able to put it, and I will provide the label here, right? This is 0, row, and then column 1. So that's how to do that. Okay, now let's see. That is the basic about adding a label. So let's see how to structure it, or to make it look like how we had here, right? We had a label. This is just a label. So now let's see how to do this particular tabs here, right? How do we do this particular tab? We know how to do a label. We know how to do this particular window. So let's see how to do this particular tab. So it's just going to be like this. So let's go off with this, right? So to create a tab is going to be quite simple. It's going to be like this. This is going to be our tab layout, right? Let's make it like tab layout. So how do we create a tab? So the tabs are in Tkinter, they are called notebooks, right? So to use it, you're just going to import another stuff here. So let's call it as from Tkinter. We are importing everything, but I just want to be more specific, right? TTK, right? So this TTK is what we're using to create our notebook and our tabs. Just simple. So now let's see how to do that. So it's going to be my tab. You can give it any name that you want. For the tab control, control our tabs, and then we're going to give that notebook, right? Then we're going to pass in our window. So we are passing this our window that we have here. Perfect. So it's going to create an entire tab for us, like a notebook. Then I'm going to create individual tab to tab 1. Tab 1 is going to be our ttk.frame. We are creating individual frames, right? So frame, and then going to supply in our tab control. That's going to be our first tab. Okay. So that is going to be our first tab. Now, in case I want to add some stuff to it, let's create 2 more tabs. So 2, then ttk.frame. Let's copy this one and repeat it. Right, this is going to be tab 2. Now, perfect. So we have been able to do something. Now let's add this tabs to the notebook. So let's go that add tabs to notebook. So how do we add this tab to notebook? So we're just going to go with our tab control .add. So .add is going to allow us to add our tabs that we have created above to our notebook. So it's going to be tab right? Then we're going to pass in some tests that you want to see there. Let's go to test. Let's go to NLPiffy. So I'm going to create something simple. Now let's see this and let's see what we put up. So I'm going to run this. Perfect. So it's not showing any stuff, right? It's not showing any tab there, right? So let's see how again to make it show that particular stuff tab that we have. So to see the tab, we just go with tab, right? Control dot pack, right? So when you go with dot pack is just like the opposite. It's just another option of the gray out of the layout, which we have grid and then pack, right? Then we're going to expand it as 1. When you expand it as 1, then we're going to fill both. So we do it like this. Now if I save it and I run it here again, so that's going to show this here, right? So it is showing a particular tab that we added, and it's showing it as a whole pack here, filling everything, like expanding it to fill it. You can even set the dimensions of how much pack you want, the length of it. Okay, perfect. So now let's add another one here for the next tab we had. Then let's add a third one, right? So let's duplicate this. So this is going to be 3. Then this is going to be our tab 1, tab 2, then tab 3. So this is going to be for our file processing. So file processor, right? Something like that to process our file. It's going to be our about page. Okay, so let's save it and then let's run it. So if I run it now, instead I'm going to have okay, made a mistake. I was in a hurry. Let's save it and then let's run it again. If I run this, you see that it's now showing us with 3 different tabs. So we have the NLPiffy, file processor, and an about. So the basic idea of creating a tab is that you just create a notebook, you create the frames for each and every of them, then you add the tabs, then you bring this particular stuff. This is very important, otherwise you may not see this particular tab, right? Perfect. So let's add some stuff to these things here. So let's add some stuff, because from the previous one we had some stuff here, right? So now let's work on this aspect. So let's close this here and let's see how to add those particular images. I'm just going to call it as my tab for NLPiffy, right? So we're going to first of all create a label, right? And then we create the remaining stuff for each and every one of them. So I'm going to call it as my label. Label 1 is going to be my label, as we learned earlier on. Then the label is going to, instead of this taking the window as we did previously, this is not going to take windows, but rather going to take the tab here, this particular tab we have created, these individual tabs we have created, right? Because we are building it around that particular tab. So it's going to be tab 1, right? That's going to be the tab we are building around. Then I'm going to supply in my test. So let's supply some test. The name of the test, I'm going to make it NLP made simple. Then we can add some pad. So if you add a pad to it, it's going to add some pad of 5. It's going to add a pad around it. So let's see what I mean by the pad. So if I go straight away with this, and then let's create a simple grid. So we need to create a grid dot grid. And then let's give it the first grid of column 0. That is the first column. Then row 0. So if I save this, right, and I run it again, I'm rushing. Don't worry, it as well. I run it here, you see that now it is showing it here, right? So this is the NLP made simple that we created here. It is on this particular tab. So if I go here, you can't see any of them, only this one here, right? Perfect. So that's for this one. But you realize that it is so close here. So in case I want to push it a little bit, I can just give it as a pad x of, let's say 5, and then let's say pad y, right, of another dimension. Let's say pad y of 5. If I save this here and then let's close this one and run it again, so that now it is better. That's giving some space here, some small space and small space here, which is very interesting, very nice. So now let's repeat it for these ones, right? So we can also repeat the same thing that we had here for the remaining tabs that we have. So let's give it as, so this is going to be for our tab 2, 2, right? And then this is going to be for this one 3, right? So this is going to be for tab 2, which is for our about page. It's for the file processor, right? So let's say open, or let's call this file processing, right? And then this is going to be for our about page. So about, then the tab here is supposed to be 3. So if I save this and I run it again, now it's going to show the 3 different tabs here. So NLP made simple, file processing, and about, which is very interesting, right? So just adding it to it. So that's how to add some stuff to it. And let's work on the main function of it, right? So we have need to work with our labels. So first of all, let's see how to add the remaining aspect of it. So I'm going to first of all create my individual buttons and then the entries, then we create the individual functions for it to work. I'm going to call this main. We'll be doing here. So I'm just going to create a simple, my first label. So let's go to L1, then label that we had, then tab 1, right? We already understand why it's tab 1 because we are using that particular window. Tab 1, then test is going to be, let's say, enter test to analyze, right? That is what you are placing there. Perfect. And then the next thing we're going to add is that you need to add a grid. So L1.grid. Then we are using the first row is equal to 1, and then because we are moving down, then column is equal to 0, right? Perfect. So if I run this particular stuff here again, realize that now it has created it here, right? So we have this is row 0, row 1, right? So the next one is row 3, row 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. So let's add some entry point to be able to type in our test here, right? So it's going to be, let's call that row entry, right? Then I'm going to set this row entry as set string, right? String var, so that it will always accept, convert it to string already. Then entry 1, let's call it set entry. This is going to be how to create entry. So the first one is going to be entry. Perfect. So this is our entry. So we need to pass this entry to specify the particular place we want this particular entry to be. So we're using this tab here, right? We're using the tab 1. So we are telling that take this particular tab, take this particular aspect. Don't go to this place, don't go to this place, only go to this place. That's why we are giving it as tab. The normal way is to give it use window, but here we are not using windows now, we are using the tab, right? Perfect. Then I'm going to set my test variable. My test variable is going to be my raw test, the one I have at the top here. Then we can set a width of it. So the width I want it to be, let's say I want the width to be 50, right? How big I want it to be. Let's reduce it a little. Then the next thing is I need to be able to create a grid. So it's going to be entry 1.grid .grid. Can't spell grid. Grid here. Then I'm going to set the location. So from here, realize that this was 0, this is 1, right? So I'm going to set my location, my test beside this one, which is the same row. So this is row 1. So it's going to be row 1. Row is equal to 1. And then the column, I'm not going to give it as column 0, I'm going to give it as column 2. So column 2, right? So here is no more 1. So it's not going to be column 2 because Python starts counting from 0. Okay, perfect. So if I see this and I run this here again, let's close this and let's run it. Perfect. So now see that it's showing our test is, so I can type in something. Hello world, right? I can type in something. So in case I want this one to stretch longer, I can just make it like 100, 150. If I save it and run it again, because I made this on 150, it's going to stretch like that. Let us stretch as far as I want, right? But let's make it as 50 here. So 100. So we have been able to get our entry. Now the next thing we have to do is be able to create our buttons, the buttons to be able to receive all of these things. So let's call it as our buttons, right? So the first button we'll be creating is button 1. Then the button to create a button in Tkinter, just create button. Then I'm going to pass in my tab 1. That is where I want it to be. I want this button to be in this tab 1. then I want to give it a test. So what test do I want to put on this particular button? So the test I want to put down is tokenize, right? So perfect. So tokenize. Then I'm going to set my width, or can just go straight away with the width of the button. Width, let's give it as 12. So I want to set it at a particular width of 12. Then the next thing I need to do is just give it a location. Where do I want it to be? On which part of the grid do I want it to be? So I want the button to be on another row. So row, let's give it as row 4, right? I want it to come very down. Then I'm going to set as the column 0. Okay, so if I save this particular stuff here and then I run this, I hope there's no mistake. If you see that down, it has created our button here, which is a tokenized button, but it doesn't do anything because we are not assigning a function to it. So that is how it is, right? This is for token. So in case I want to add a color to this particular stuff, I can actually add a color to it. So to add a color to it, I just go with BG for background color. Then I can set it as any color that I want. So let's give it a color like, let's say red, right? If I go with, let's give it as blue. I save it and I run this here. So now it has turned into blue, right? So that is how to add a color to it. So BG, background color, blue. Okay, so perfect. So now you know how to create our test entry. We know how to create our button. Now let's add some function to this button to be able to do something on this particular test we have. So first of all, let's duplicate our buttons and create several buttons, right? Before we add a button, before we duplicate it, let's add some padding to it so that it comes better. So pad X is going to be, let's say 10, and pad Y is going to be also 10, right? Something like that, which is better. Now we have created something. Then let's add some, let's change this one to, let's give it a better color. In case you want to add a foreground color, you just go with foreground FG for a foreground, then you can set it as white. So this is white. Perfect. So if I save this now, then I come back to run this here. So now it has changed it to white, right? And it has added some padding to it, which is making it more nicer. Now let's add some 3 buttons here. So 1, 2, 3. We need to add some other buttons to make it interesting. So I'm going to copy these ones here, then place these buttons there, right? So add some space to it so it looks cleaner. So I've created 6 different buttons. So this is going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this is going to be 6, right? So I've created 6 different buttons. Perfect. So I've created 6 different buttons. So this is going to be for our, the first one was tokenized, the second one is going to be for our part of speed tagging, POS tags, right, tagger. Then the next one is going to be for our sentiment. Then the next, open our own, and I run it here. Perfect. See that now the reason you couldn't see everything is together is that we did not set the locations, we did not set these ones, we did not change it. That's why it is there, it is appearing, but they are overlapping on top of this. So we have to set them the right location. So it's going to be for, this was 4, 4, 4, right? So all of these things were the same row, but you're going to change this from, this is 0, this is going to be 1, this is going to be 2, 2, right? Then this is going to be, let's give this one as value of 5, the next line 5 and 5. Then we're going to set this one to be 2 for column 2 and then column 1. So if I save this one here, I come back and I run this again. Okay, see that now it is working very well. So all of them are working perfectly. Now let's see how to add some functions to this particular stuff to be able to do something. Now we can type test here. You need to be able to see whatever test that is being done. You need to be able to process all these tests. So how do we do that? So you can just go to the top of our file, right? We're going to create functions for each and every one of them. But before we create, we're going to create functions for each and every one of them. But before we create the function, let's see how to display our result. So how do we display our result? So I'm going to call it a display. So we need to be able to display our result there. So how do we do that? I'm just going to use the same tab. So let's go to tab 1, display. right? This is going to be for the display one, and I'm going to use test. So test is coming from Tkinter. Then I'm going to position my test as inside my notebook, my tab 1. Then I use tab 1 display dot grade. I need to set the grade for it. Then I need to set the row. So row 7. Let's let it come down because this is 5. So let's leave 2 rows. Then 7. Then the column, let's set it at 0. And then we can add some column space, right? So it's span or span, column span. So let's make it 3 so that 3 will be the maximum. Then let's add some padding. Padders going to be 5, and then the pad y is going to be, let's say 5, or can be any number that you want at 5. Okay, so pad 5. Now let's save it, and then let's see whether our test is going to appear. Perfect. Now you see that we have our test. We are going to enter stuff here. We have our individual buttons, and then we have a place we are going to see the results. Okay, perfect. So now let's see how to add functionalities to this particular stuff. That when I type in something here, I click on this, it's going to give me the result here. So how do we do that? So it's going to be here. So at the top of our file here, before our labels, or it can be after our labels or any place, can actually create functions to run all these functions there. So let's place the function here, right? We're placing all our functions in a particular place. Let's go to functions. Place all our functions here. So all the functions, whatever we want to do. So to be able to work on the functions, we need to be able to import some other stuff. So that's where it can become slow because of the packages. So the packages we need is going to be our NLP packages, which include TextBlob. So from TextBlob, import TextBlob, right? That is the package we'll be using to do most of them. Later on, import Spacy and then the rest. So let's create our first function. So it's going to be def get tokens. To get the tokens, then we need to call it as raw test. That's the raw test that we're having. Then we need to be able to see the raw entry, where like this is this raw entry here, right? This raw entry that we are receiving something from. So raw entry. In case we do not bring this, right, you can just go straight away with entry 1 dot get, right, to be able to get whatever button has come there. But because you have set the variable to be there, that's why we are using this particular stuff. So that comes raw entry dot get, right? So we are getting whatever button that is being typed here into this particular stuff. So that is the basic idea about it. Let's convert it to a string. The entire stuff to a string. It's already a string, but let's convert it to a string. Into a string. Now, after converting it to a string, we will be able to start processing it using our test block. So let's call it as new test. You can call it as any name that you want. Test block, right? It's supposed to be test block. Yeah, test block. Then we are going to pass in our raw test. So raw test that we have. So from here we can do whatever thing I want to do. So what do we want to do? We want to be able to tokenize it. So let's see what I mean by tokenization. So I'm just going to call it as final. Our final test, right? The final test that we have. Then we're going to use the same stuff we have. So new test.words. That's how to tokenize it. Tokenize in with TextBlob. Perfect. But if you do it like this, that's right. And then we're going to display this particular stuff. So let's call it as result. It's the final result, right? Result. Then I'm just going to pass it in. Let's use a normal formatting. Alright. This /n. Let's call that as tokens. Then I'm going to supply my final test. Perfect. So this is what we are going to do. So if I want to display this particular stuff here, I need to be able to find the means of putting it. So if I save this here, right, I have to change the text block here. This is capital B. Perfect. So how do I insert whatever thing here, whatever result I'm getting, into our display here? So to be able to insert it, I'm just going to go with this. Let's call that inserting, right? Inserting display. So I'm just going to my tab 1 display dot insert, right, and then dot insert tk dot end You can just go with n like this, but let's go with tk.n because we imported all of them, but we don't specifically import that one. Then I'm going to pass in my result, right? So it's going to insert into this particular display. At the end of it, this my result coming here. I'm going to insert this result at the end of this my display. That's the meaning of this. If I save this one, and then now after saving it, I have to send this command here, this function, attach this function to our tokenize, so that to be able to work perfectly well. So where am I going to put it? I'm going to put it beside my command here, right? So just go with this command, then it's equal to this, right? You don't need to do this, right? You don't need to do this. It's going to understand that it's a command. If in case you want to do this, then you have to bring the lambda. That is in case you are passing in an argument. That's why you're going to bring the lambda, but you are not using that for now. So let's go straight away with this, and we're not going to bring this here. Perfect, right? So it's going to understand that this particular, when I click on this button, go and fetch this token and then use this particular stuff. So let's try what we have done so far. So it's taking time because it's supposed to load the other packet. So let's give it as hello world. This is NLP, right? So if I go with tokenize, that now has brought our result here in a very nice format for us, which is very interesting. So that is how to do our stuff here, right? You have been able to work on it well, so it's working perfectly. So that is one way of doing it. Now let's see some other stuff you can also do. So we know how to work on this, but these ones is not good, are not working. So let's paste in the functions for them to save time. So the basic idea is that you just get the test, you process it with NLPiffy, then you save it in the format that you want, then you insert it here, right? That's the basic idea. So I'll copy and paste the remaining functions to make it faster. So let's paste it as C. Perfect. So now let's see what we have done so far. Let me save, close this, and let's run it. So now let's add the functions to each and every of them. So we have our tokens as we already learned. We also have our get post, which is just going to take the test, and then it's going to use tags, right? This is just from TextBlob, putting it in a particular format, displaying it. Same for the sentiment, we are putting it inside this particular option, right? These are basic stuff, right? There's a whole video on how to work with TextBlob. And then the same thing for the entities. So the entities will be using NLP, right? Using Spacy. So to be able to work with Spacy, you have to first of all import Spacy. So I'll just go here to import Spacy, then create an NLP object, which is going to be spacy.load. So this is right, perfect. Now, so that we'll be able to work with our Spacy here to get our entities. Perfect, that is it. Now the next thing we need to do is to add these particular functions, all these individual functions, to our commands, just like we had it here. So I'm just going to copy this one here, then add them here. So here, and then here. Right, perfect. So I'm going to add the commands there. Perfect. So this was get tokens. The tagger is going to be get tags. This is going to be get tags, right? Get POS tags, right? Then this is going to be get sentiment. Then this is going to be our get entities. Right, perfect. So these ones is just for the reset. So if I save this one, then let's come back to this place. Okay, perfect. It's taking some time to load, right? So now if I testing something, hello world, this is cool, right? This is good. So if I go with tokenizing it, it's place that is showing it here, right? Everything is working perfectly, even including the entities. There's empty. Now how do we reset it? How do we clear off these ones and clear off this one? So to do that, let me show you how to work on the clear button. So let's call it as our clear entry. So this is just for our stuff. So this is going to be our clear. So how do we do that? So it's going to be something going to a function. So def clear entry test, right? We want to clear the entry of the test entry. Then this function is not going to take any argument. Then to to clear this particular stuff, realize that our entry was this, right? The name of our entry was entry here, right? So we want to clear, so just going to use this particular entry here. We have entry dot delete, right? So dot delete is going to help us delete it. So what do we want to delete? We want to delete 0, that is the first index, and then end, right? Perfect. So when I save it like this now, and I come back to my clear here, right? We had our clear result here, or we had a reset here. I make it from to clear entry test, right? If I save it here, then let's run our stuff again. Perfect. So if I put in a test here, so let's say hello world, and I go with the reset, let us clear it, right? So that is the basic idea about it. So hey, then it's clearing it. So the basic idea for that to work is that you need to be able to just delete it, right, from 0 and then with the end. Perfect. So that is how to do the clear test. So we can also use the same thing to clear the display. It's going to be def clear display result. That's the function you are calling it. We don't want to comment it. So tab 1, right? Tab 1 display. Tab 1 display, the same stuff we did for the previous one. So delete. Then we're going to set it as this. We are not going to set it as 0, but it's better you set it as 1.0, right? The same thing, similar to that. Bar, then end. Okay, so if I go with this end here, now let's bring this my clear test to my clear results, display results here. So get tokens is going to be clear display result. You don't have to bring this is right. You don't have to do that to understand that that is what you're supposed to do. Perfect. So I found it here. Perfect. So let's paste it and test here. So hello, great tutorial. So if I go with the sentiment 0.75, 0.8, so if I go with clear results, set has cleared it, but it's not clearing it. So in case I want to clear this, I'll just go with clear results. Perfect. So that has actually cleared it off in a very nice, simple way, which is very interesting. Okay, so now let's see the final stuff we can also do. So we have been able to work on the first aspect, right? And the basic aspect on the first tab. So we have been able to work on the first aspect here. Now let's see how to read a file. So this is quite simple. So you just do the test, then you do all this particular stuff. But let's see how to read a particular file in case you want to read a file. So let's see how to do that. So let me open it. So let's start. So this is going to be for our file that we're going to do. So file reading, we do that. So let's go. We realize we created a label here, right? Which was for this file processing. Right, that was a label we created. So you can also create another label like that. So let's copy this one here. There's label 2. Then let's paste this one here. So this is going to be label 2, right? But let's change this one from this label to something else. Let's go as L1 or L2, any of them. L1, right? Because it's a label table 2 is still going to see it as different. Then I'm going to change this one from this to open file to process. Open file to process. Perfect. So this is not going to be 0, 0. This is what I'm going to be 1, 1. Right? Perfect. That's quite interesting. So the next thing is that we need to be able to create a button to be able to open a file. So how do we do that? So we already learned about how to create a button. So let me copy one of the buttons that we had here. Right? And then let's paste this particular button here. So let's call this one not as button here so that it doesn't confuse ourselves. I'm just going to call it as B0, right? B0 to keep it different from the previous one. And I have to change this one to 2 because the same thing. And then here I'm going to call it as open file, right? Perfect. So I have to create a function to be able to allow us to open this particular file. So how do we do that? So let's change this location from this to 3, and then let's make it 0, Okay, perfect. So I have to create a function to be able to open a file. So let's call this function as open files. Open files. Right, so we need to create this particular function. So if I save this here, realize that from here we had open file, right? We have this particular stuff. We are creating this one first before we do the rest. So if I save this here and I run it here, so it's telling me open files is not defined, right? So the reason is that I've not defined this open file. That's why it's telling me that. So you have to create that particular function. So let's clear it off and see what you have done before we move on to the next aspect. Perfect. So if I come to my file processor, now the button is there, right? Button is there, but it's not doing anything. Button is there, but it's not doing anything. So now we have to be able to make sure that it's able to open something. So it's going to be like this. This is going to be the button. Now I need to create a function for this particular stuff to work. So let me place this my function somewhere. So let's call it as our function. The functions. The name of the function is going to be open files, right? And then it's going to go with this. So file one, the name of the file, then tk.file dialog. So that Tkinter has another option called file dialog that allows you to be able to work with files, right? So dot ask open file name. You can also make it as open file, but as open file name is better for now. Then I'm going to set the particular option that you want. So I don't want to open any kind of file. I want to open a specific kind of file. So types, the files I want to open are these files that I want to open. First of all, I want to open, let me expand this so you can see it well. The files I want to open is that I want to open my own custom file. So this is the name of the file. I want to call it test files. Then I have to set the extension, right? So the extension is going to be, say, tst. It's going to be the extension that I am giving it to it, right? So it's only going to accept your tst file. Perfect. So that is another aspect. I can also actually make sure that it can accept also other files. So let's create it like this. So that it's going to accept all files. So all files. Then if I want to accept all files, just go with this, and then start, right? Asterisk. So this is going to allow me to receive all kinds of files, which is very interesting. So I've created a file dialog box. If I save this here, now let's bring my command here, right? The command is supposed to be for my button here, right? So let's give it as command. It's called to open files. And if I save it here, I come back to my GUI, let's run it. Perfect. So if I go to my file processor and I click on this, so now it's giving me the option of opening it, right? Opening the file browser. This is very interesting. Just with this particular function, with this as open file. Perfect. And you realize that if I go back to this place and check it open, it's showing me my test file, right? With and then the all file, the test file and all file. It's not showing everything, but only the test file, which was the one I typed here. That is a basic idea about it. Okay, so then let's close this. Then let's work on some other aspect. So now how do we read our file? The next thing we are going to do is reading our file. So I'm going to read test, right? To read whatever thing that's coming from the file. I'm going to open the file. One.read. I'm going to open the file test, and then I'm going to read it. So .read. If there's a normal Python way of reading stuff, you can also use it with open to if you want. Then I've read the file. I've opened the file. I've read it. Now how do I see what I've opened? So to see what I've opened, I'm going to create a place to put it there. So let's call it as display. We create it later, displayed file. There, then insert it there, right? Just as we learned earlier on. And tk.end can make it only end. Then I'm going to supply my test. So I'm going to copy this test here. Go to the end of this display file here, right? That is the end of this display file here. Then insert it, right? That's the basic idea about it. Now let's create this display file so that we can be able to see it working. Otherwise, we will not be able to see our result. So I'm just going to go to, we have our button. From here, we had our button, right? So we had the buttons and we have some space here for the stuff. So let's see how to do that. So it's going to be above our button. So let's put it here as my display file. So displayed file is going to be test, right? Test, and then the tab is tab 2 because we're working on tab 2. Perfect. And then the next thing we need to do is that we need to be able to create a grade. So display file dot grade, and then grade is going to be of row 2, right? Row 2, and then because this is row 1, right? Row 2, row 3. So and then column is going to be the same, column 0, right? And you can also set some, let's say column span, all of this set column span. It's going to be, let's say 3 for to the third span, and then pad x going to be for 5, and then pad y it's also going to be, let's say 3, right? Let's reduce it back 3. If I save this here, I come back to this place, just run it file. If I come to my file processor, now you see that that's created our display file here, right? So if I open this file here, then let's open this my new file, then open it so that it's reading the content of it very well. So if I open it again, I read something different. Let's read this. That is adding it to it perfectly, right? That is quite interesting. So that is how to work with it. So the basic idea for opening a file and reading is that you just create a function that is going to open the dialog, the normal file, store whatever thing inside the file, then you open it with the normal Python method of reading and you read it, then you insert it right into a test file that you have created, right? Perfect. So that's how to work with it. So now let's create the other remaining option, the remaining buttons, all these buttons there. So I'll copy it and paste to save time. So I'll copy it and paste to save time. Perfect. So if I save this here, then let's run it so that you will see it. The reason I've not closed the first one is that I want us to see what you are doing. I was not able to design the grid. Okay. Perfect. So I've been able to copy the buttons there. Now I need to be able to create the individual functions for them, right, to be able to read all these files. So how do we create files? Now we know how to open the file. So how do we actually read these particular individual files? So it's quite simple. This is going to be the same method that we had in the previous one. The only thing we're going to do is that we're going to be reading it from a different option. So let's go to call it like this. So def, then let's say get, let's call it as get file tokens, right? Right, that's what we're doing. Get file tokens. Then this get file tokens, we're going to just read a normal set raw test. So here it's not going to be entry, right? Because you're not using entry. But what you are using here is you are using this particular stuff, the displayed file here, right? You're using this displayed file because that's where the thing that you are loading is being stored. So we are just going to copy this one and then paste it here, right? And then we are going to use a get. So this, because we are taking it from another test option, right? We need to be able to get it and then put some argument. So you need this particular argument 0.1 because there's something already. Then tk.end. This is very, very important because if you just do it like this, it's going to be empty. You're not going to see anything because you are not. This is not a test entry, right? You want to get the thing that's already there. Perfect. So if I do it like that, now I can be able to read whatever thing that is there. So after reading that, then I can process it and do whatever thing I want to do. So I can actually do the same thing that we had here. This was get tokens. I just copy the get tokens from here because it's almost the same thing. Just this here, right? It's the same thing. Then now paste it here because it's the same stuff, right? So if I save it here, now I have to change this one to display 2. So I have to create a display for our particular stuff. So let's change it so that it becomes totally different. Display test 2, insert this. Perfect. So I have to create this particular tab 2 to display, right? So how do I do that? So it's just going to be the same format that we had here. Let's go as display screen. So display screen for our results. So it's going to be this tab 2 test. Then I'm going to call it as test, right? this another text, then the tab is 2. Perfect. Then I need to be able to, so from here I can actually set the height so that it doesn't make mistakes. So let's call it as height. You can also do height here, right? Height 10. Then I need to be able to create a grade, the location of it, where I want it to be. Tag this dot my grade. Then I'm going to set the row, so the row is going to be 7, right? So that it is far from this place because it's 5, 7. Then my column is going to be 0. Then I just need to set some column span. It's going to be 3, so that doesn't spread too much. Then I can do the pad x is going to be 5. Then pad y is going to be, let's say, 5 or 3, any of them, right? So perfect. So if I do it like this, now I save it. Let's run it again. Now I can close this particular stuff. Now I can close this stuff because we don't need it. Now we know how to work with it. Okay, so we need to be able to create all these individual functions, right? We need to be able to create just like, so we need to be able to create all these individual functions for all these files because now we know how to create a simple one for this, right? So we know how to display it somewhere else. So I'm just going to copy the function because the same thing, the most important thing is this one here. So you need to get whatever that is being placed in the display, then process it. So I'll copy it and then paste it, right? Because it's just the same stuff. Copy it and paste it. So let me paste it here on top of this. Perfect, right? So the basic idea is that you're just taking the same files that we had here, right? This is a basic idea. Then we are just processing it just like the previous one we did. Same thing for this. And then now for the NLPiffy file, just using the same stuff, but this one we're just adding the tokens, shapes, lemma, part of speech tagging together as a list comprehension and passing it as summary. That is the basic idea for the NLPiffy. Okay, so thank you. So that is the basic idea. So now let's run our file. Okay, but you realize that now our functions are here, right? The get file, sentiment, get file, push, get file, tokens, and then get file, NLPiffy, get file, clear test file. Right, so we need to create this particular function for the clear test file. So how do we do that? The same way that we created the get test file for this here, right? The same way we're going to do that. So I'll copy this one here and paste it because it's the same format. But in this case, it's not going to be clear test file, right? It's a clear test file, so not clear entry. So clear test file. So since this is a clear test file and then it was taken on this particular display, right? That is what we are having. So here is going to be our entry, right? Our display file. Then this was display result, so clear display result, which is going to be our clear results here, right? Clear result. So I'm just call it as clear result instead of clear display result. Then how do we do that? Realize that this result is coming from this test here. That's where it's being placed. So I'm just going to copy this and then paste it here, right? Just like the previous one. Perfect. So if I save this now and then I run it, perfect. Now it's working. So now you see that all the commands are here. Very nice. And then we can actually open the file. So let's open the file. Let's open our file here. Open. The result is showing here. Now I can go to tokenize. It's showing here, right? So it is already done. So I can just clear this result here. It's cleared. And then I can open another file. Let's give it this. Or let's use the same stuff we have. You can just clear it. Before you have to reset it to clear all this particular stuff. That when you do this, it's not working. Right? When you reset it, it's not working. Right? The reason this reset is not working is that this one is working, but this reset is not working. So let's see why it's not working. So it's telling us that 0 bad in the 0 display file 0, right? So that is the reason why it's not working. So let's go back to this place here. And this is not going to be the normal one, it's going to be different. Okay, so now let's run it here. That was the reason why it was giving us bad index 0. So let's run it again. Perfect. So let's open our file here. The file that we have been using so far, this pin is showing. I go with set, now it's clear, right? Perfect. So one of the things we have to know is that in case the file is too big, so let's open another file that is very, very big, something like this, right? It's showing it, so it's showing it, but in case the file is so big, we should be able to scroll it up and down to be able to work it all. Because if I process this particular stuff we have here, like tokens, so that it is here, so I can't even go down, right? So we need to be able to work on that. So how do we do that? It's going to be something like this. Instead of using test, right? So we're using test here, we're not going to be using test, we'll be using scroll test to be able to work with it. So first of all, to work on scroll test, you need to import scroll test from the base, from the top here. So let's call it as, that's for the scroll test, it's going to be from Tkinter.scroll test, right? Import. Oh, right, so that's what we do, scroll test. So with this scroll test, we'll be able to do the scroll test, and then you're going to change this. Wherever you're going to see test here we show it as test. Now it's not going to be test, it's going to be scroll test. Same with here, scroll test, right? And then with the scroll test, you can even add a height to it. So let's add some height. Let's go to height of our test is going to be any value that you want to put there based on how you want it to be. Let's set it as, let's say 10, and then this for the tab 1 displayed, right, for our results, and then for our display for the file that we are reading, and this one just make it as, let's say 7 or any number that you want. Height 2 or any number, let's make it 7. Let's run it for the last time, then we'll explain what you've done so far. Perfect. So now if I go with processor, see that there's some scrolling ability here, right? The same thing with our down here. It's not totally to show because I think, well, let's try it and see. Let's open this file, okay, then let's process it. See that one is not showing, so let's work on this one, which is going to be, yeah, you have to convert this one to scroll test. Scroll test, right? Perfect. So now it's going to work perfectly well. So before we go to check and see whether it's going to work, let's do one last thing. Before we go and check and see whether it's working, let's add the last function, which is for the about, right? So to do the about, it's just going to be quite simple. So let's go to about tab, right? So I just copy it and paste here. So this is just definition of how it is, right? Perfect. So let's run it. Here, I'm going to run it, and then voila, it's coming, right? Perfect. So everything is working well. So the about, the one that we pasted it, is working here. File processor, so that's having the two of them. It's showing the scrollable stuff. So that if I open a file that is bigger, like let's say this, right? And I open it, and I process it, this, so that now I can actually scroll it like that. So you can see your results. The same thing is happening in this place. In case I open a file, let's clear it first. So reset and then clear the result, and then let's open a big, let's say this, right? Something like this, right? So that it's showing the ability so that you can be able to move it up and down. That's the basic idea about it. So let's reset it. So we are able to work on this the basic app. So now let's go over as a quick summary of what we have done so far. Then close it. Okay, perfect. So in a nutshell, the basic idea of working with the file, of working with this, is first of all import all that you need, right? Tkinter as TK, import, you can omit some of them, right? Then this is going to allow us to do our tabs, our notebook tabs. This is going to allow us to do our scrollable, then our NLP packages to do analysis. Then this is going to be our basic frame, right? So the window is going to create the name of the GUI, which is this particular stuff we had here, right? GUI here, you can put your image here if you want. Then the geometry, right, which is the shape of it, how by default this is how it's supposed to do. Okay, then we created a tab for these ones. To create a tab, first of all, initialize this particular stuff we have. Create a window tab with TKK, right? TTK. With the TTK, you can also do the styling. Then we created a frame with the TTK, right? Which is going to be individual frames. So 1, 2, 3 frames. So 1, 2, 3 frames. And then we added all these particular frames we have created for the tabs with their names on it, right? For this one here, which is presented here, which is representing the one here. Then we pack them, right? So if you don't bring this one, you're not going to see any of these things. We pack it to fill it to full. Then we establish our individual labels, which is these ones, the normal label stuff that we have for normal Tkinter. And we created individual functions for all these buttons that we have here. So these are the buttons, all these individual buttons. We created these ones here, these ones with their color. And then the text entry was this here, which was this. Then we passed in whatever button that we're receiving into our individual function, right? And we use .get to get it. Perfect. Then we displayed it back here with the insert to display it back by putting it at the end of our insert. So our display was just another scroll test or test initial, it was fetch test. So that is the basic idea. And then for the file too, we just open a normal file. This is for this place. Open a normal file with the TK file open. We read the file, we inserted it to our display, then we process it in the same way. Instead of being end just get, we just added 1.0 to be at the end of it. So thank you for watching this tutorial. In case you have any question or contribution, you can just put it in the comment section below. You can also check the link below for more interesting stuff. So that's the basic idea about it. So now let's see. Thank you for watching this long tutorial. So thanks for watching, and thank you, and then stay blessed. Let's see the sentiment of this particular stuff. Okay, thank you, and then stay blessed.